मुझे प्रसन्नता है कि कई वर्षों की मेहनत के बाद आज दोनों देशों के बीच कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक एंड ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट संपन्न हुआ है। यह समझौता मात्र आर्थिक साझेदारी नहीं बल्कि साझा समृद्धि की योजना है। ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस को गति मिलेगी, कॉस्ट ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस घटेगा और कॉन्फिडेंस ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस बढ़ेगा। दोज who misuse democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself must be held accountable. भारत मालदीव का सबसे करीबी पड़ोसी है। मालदीव भारत की नेबरहुड फर्स्ट पॉलिसी और महासागर विजन दोनों में एक अहम स्थान रखता है। भारत को मालदीव का सबसे भरोसेमंद मित्र होने पर भी गर्व है। आपदा हो या महामारी, भारत हमेशा फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्डर बनकर साथ खड़ा रहा। फॉर अस इट इज ऑलवेज फ्रेंडशिप फर्स्ट। हमने व्यापक आर्थिक और समुद्री सुरक्षा साझेदारी का विजन साझा किया था। अब यह रियलिटी बन रहा है और उसी का परिणाम है कि हमारे संबंध नई ऊंचाइयों को छू रहे हैं।
On this deal where Prime Minister Starmer has said that this is the biggest and the most comprehensive deal post-Brexit that the UK has entered into. So, खुश तो बहुत होंगे आप?
बहुत खुश है और in a way it vindicates what Prime Minister Narendra Modi had said way back in 2015. When he came to London and addressed a huge crowd at Wembley. He said, we may be two nations, but we share a glorious future. And मैं समझता हूँ कि वास्तव में प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी की जो दूरदृष्टता है, जिस प्रकार से उन्होंने भारत को अब साझेदार बनाया है विकसित देशों का, जिससे हमारी मानसिकता भी विकसित बने, जिससे हम भी सोचे अच्छी चीजों की, बड़ी चीजों की, छोटा ना सोचे। तो मैं समझता हूँ ये जो पूरा बदलाव आया है भारत में, ये मोदी जी की सबसे बड़ी ताकत है, देन है देश के लिए और भारत का भविष्य उज्जवल है।
But it's not a free trade agreement. It's a CETA because there are certain sectors that you have protected for Bharat. And which are those sectors? And let's try and put that out. When it comes to produce, so apple growers, and then there are
all these sensitive sectors. For example, dairy is not open.
Dairy.
No rice, no sugar, no apples. Every country, you have to look at the strengths of the country, see what are your offensive interests, कि आपको क्या market access चाहिए, and what are your defensive interests, कहाँ पे आपको खोलना नहीं है या बचना है। वैसे ही दूसरी तरफ के भी दोनों होते हैं।
Right.
एक अच्छी बात जो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने मुझे सिखाई है कि सेंसिटिव रहो दूसरे के प्रति, तो वो भी आपके प्रति सेंसिटिव रहेगा। और एक प्रकार से वो हमारी आज के दिन नेगोशिएशन में सबसे बड़ी ताकत वो है कि दोनों देश शुरू में ही तय कर लेते हैं कि एक दूसरे के सेंसिटिव सेक्टर्स को हम रिस्पेक्ट करेंगे, प्रोटेक्ट करेंगे। जैसे ही आप वो शुरुआत वहां से करो तो आगे का रास्ता बड़ा ही स्मूथ हो जाता है।
You've engaged with the conservatives, you've engaged with the labor leaders. The conservatives feel this deal was inked a year ago, and the labor is eating getting the cake and having the last laugh. How would you look at that?
But I would like to say it's interesting to see the bipartisan support that this deal had from both parties. The conservatives were in government. Mr. Rishi Sunak was Prime Minister.
Yeah.
About a year and a half ago, my current counterpart, Jonathan Reynolds, who was then the
Shadow Minister.
Trade Minister, along with the then Shadow Foreign Minister, David Lammy, both were in India. They were having dinner somewhere. And I got a call that they would like to meet me. I was busy in office, so I was getting late. So finally, I was able to meet them at about 11 or 11:30 in the night when I invited them home for coffee and dessert. So much so that Mr. David Lammy must have been tired with the time change and all. He was almost sleeping on my sofa. But Jonathan was up and about. And you know what Jonathan told me that time? He said, look, we encourage you to finish the deal, finalize it with the then government. But if you do it, we will come into power after the election. They were so confident. And we will approve it in Parliament. But should you not succeed, I assure you, we will accept whatever is decided between the two governments. We'll build upon it and we'll finalize the agreement. You have our assurance that we want to do a deal. And they put it in their manifesto to do a deal with India. And he became the trade minister, and today he has delivered. My compliments to him and to Prime Minister Starmer. But clearly the kind of guidance, the kind of support, the empowerment that Prime Minister Modi gives you when you're negotiating or when you're doing any such work is phenomenal.
So Bharat and Britain have shown the art of the deal. So is there a message going somewhere?
Well, the message is clearly for the people and business persons of both countries, because a deal can only be stuck when it's a win-win for both parties. कभी भी जीवन में एक तरफा सौदा नहीं होता है. मूल दोनों का एक दूसरे को सही दाम मिले तभी सौदा हो सकता है. And this particular deal is a win-win. Both countries, our stakeholders, our businesses, our farmers, our small and medium enterprises, our startups, our workers, everybody stands to benefit. And a very balanced deal, fair, equitable, gives preferential access for areas of our interest in UK, gives them an opportunity to do more business in areas of their interest. But we don't compete with each other, we complement each other. A $50,000 per capita economy cannot produce the kind of goods we want to sell to them. Textiles, footwear, toys, furniture, leather products, food processing or processed foods, agricultural products processed, auto parts, aircraft parts, the engineering stuff, gem and jewelry, intricate jewelry. There's so many things. They just can't compete.
Right.
We can't make the kind of high-flying medical devices, for example, that they want to sell to us. They're GI products that they want to sell to us. So I think it's a win-win, and that's the beauty of this agreement.
So the European Union is in Beijing, the head of the European Union. Then the head of the United States is going to land in the UK in less than 15 hours, 10 hours, if I may say. So are they also going to come across to the table to make it win-win? Is this going to be a queue?
Well, I do think that the European Union Trade Commissioner, Maros Sefcovic, and I have hit it off on a very, very strong wicket. He's a great guy.
Yes.
Wonderful friend of mine. And we both have a commitment that we're going to cross the hump and make this deal happen. So I think maybe we should be able to do it soon. They are in holiday season till August. After that, we're going to get cracking on that.
So you're more positive in the Europe scheme of things with UK and the European Union compared to what?
I'm positive about all countries, including the United States. The United States Trade Minister, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and I have become really good friends. He's a great guy. The USTR, the Trade Representative, Ambassador Jameson Greer and I have been friends since Trump won. When he was in the administration, I've known him well since then. So I am very comfortable working with the United States, and I'm enjoying working across the world with trade agreements happening as far away as New Zealand on the one side, Chile and Peru on the other side, and Europe somewhere in between.
Lovely. So final question. As we speak, we are into the 25th of July in Bharat. And technically, Prime Minister Narendra Modi becomes the second longest
Absolutely.
continuous term serving Prime Minister after Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So he eclipses Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. Your thoughts on his leadership and how much of a difference his leadership has made in Bharat also straightening equations with politically adverse leaders, nations. Maldives, he's in Maldives right now. The Labour was against a trade deal in the first place in Britain. Now they've signed the trade deal. You see how Canada has turned around with Mark Carney. So Maldives, yes,
Story,
Maldives, Sri Lanka,
classic
yeah.
case.
So
Prime
your
Minister
thoughts?
Modi is truly a statesman, a visionary, a very sensitive human being, caring, concerned about smaller countries, the global south, the less developed countries. And more importantly than anything else, he's a good human being. He has completed his term so far as the second longest serving, but this is only the beginning. He has a lot of ambition, a lot of dreams for our country. He wants to make this country the most consequential and most important country. And the people of India deserve a better life, a better future, which Prime Minister Modi is committed to giving. So he is going to become the longest serving Prime Minister in this country. He has miles to go. He has huge aspirations for the country. He's committed to working the way he usually does to strengthen our relations across the world. He's received 27 international honors.
Yes.
I don't know of a parallel anywhere in the world of that kind of respect and adulation. He's been the most popular leader for the last 11 years across the world. Undisputedly, a person who is shaping the destiny of 140 crore Indians. And that destiny under his leadership is going to be great.
Well, it was a whistle-stop tour for the Prime Minister, but many in the United Kingdom claim this was a foghorn because the comprehensive economic trade agreement is like a never before, and nations are now going to see what kind of a deal both Bharat and Britain have entered into. And someone who's been at the thick of things, organizing it to ensure that it all happens to the T and all the dots and are knotted there, is the High Commissioner of Bharat to London, Vikram Doraiswamy. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you for having me. Namaste.
Now, so please take us through this entire process. Was it a sudden decision that the Prime Minister would come? Was it planned? And what do you make of the comprehensive economic trade agreement?
Well, there are lots of questions to unpack in that, but I'd say first and foremost, it wasn't sudden in the sense that we were working on the idea after the completion of the negotiations was announced by the two PMs on 6th of May. That the two PMs would meet and that we would have the document signed during a bilateral summit like that. The plan at that point of time was for Prime Minister Starmer to visit India, and we were looking at dates in the third week of July at that point of time. I'm sure we can share that with your viewers. But when they met in, if I recall correctly, it was at the G7 in Kananaskis in Canada, the British side indicated that for scheduling reasons, the late July date had become a bit of a problem for them. And as you know, this is now the start of the UK summer holiday season. So for whatever reason, the Prime Minister then said that if it's okay, he would like to come a couple of months later. So our Prime Minister said, well, look, if the deal is done, I'll come. Even if it's for a short visit, I'll come and we'll get it done. And Prime Minister Starmer thought that was a great idea. And of course, that meant the rest of us had to scramble to get everything ready because a prime ministerial visit involves a lot. And it was a major visit because just on the logistics alone, we'd have had to do a lot. But there was also the deal itself, because the deal had to be negotiations conclude. But this is a big deal, as you already know. It's nearly 30 chapters. It's one of the largest trade deals we've ever done, both in complexity but also in depth. What that meant is that all the legal scrubbing that has to go into a formal treaty arrangement, in a sense, had to be completed. And when you do all of that, you come up with little bits that, I thought I said this, you thought you said this. How do we square all of that? So everything was done down to the wire, and I think it was really, again, not betraying too many confidences, it was really just about 10 days ago from today that every last thing was put to bed and the papers were finally completely scrubbed by the lawyers on both sides and brought for cabinet clearances. I mean, readied for cabinet clearances last weekend.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a big rush, but I think the prime ministers on both sides had great confidence that we'd be able to get this done. And our PM was very certain that this is something that is good for India, of course, good for the India-UK relationship, and a major message to sort of global businesses that India is a place to do great business in.
The Labour Party, Piyush Goyal ji, I had a chat with him. So he said the Labour Party had already indicated, even when they were in opposition, that Jonathan Reynolds was shadow minister then, and he had indicated
I know.
that they would push through.
So we had been working with the Labour Party well before the elections happened, and to rebuild a relationship with Labour in the UK, and then Shadow Secretary Reynolds. I'd met him, in fact, for the first time in January of 2023. Always been a thoughtful, very, very practical, very forward-looking political leader. And then Shadow Foreign Secretary Lamy agreed that they would visit India. So a visit had been organized. And one of their key stops, apart from meeting my boss, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, was meeting with the Minister for Commerce and Industry. And as the Commerce Minister tells this so well, this was a really good meeting because they said exactly what I had hoped, what they were telling us privately here, that if the deal is done by the then government, the Tory government, they would support it. And if it was not done, they made us a commitment that they would go ahead and complete it. But what was more important in that was the fact that they actually, the whole cabinet, effectively, they took about 4 or 5 months after coming to power last year, went through everything that had already been closed and agreed to sustain it. There was none of this that, well, we don't agree with that, we will undo this, because a trade agreement it's a complex thing.
Yeah.
There are gives and gets and concessions by either side across the table. The moment you start unpicking something, then everything gets unpicked. So I must say that was what really the Commerce Minister, our Commerce Minister, was referring to.
So please allow me to ask you this: if there's something so historic, why did it happen away from London, not at the Westminster Abbey, not at
Chequers? Chequers is historic. Okay. Chequers is the British Prime Minister's historic residence. It's been the country residence of the Prime Minister since 1920 something. Prime Minister Lloyd George was the first occupant of that building. It's a huge. You know how the British do special gestures. Taking you to the country home is the most special gesture any British Prime Minister can do. Our Prime Minister stayed the night in Chequers, and I found his old message, in fact, in 2015. And this time the deal was done at Chequers, just to make the point that this is special and historic. To do it at 10 Downing Street, to do it anywhere would have been a big deal, or to do it at Lancaster House and all of that. But so much is done there.
Yeah,
this is the first time that something like this has been done at Chequers. To my knowledge, at least, this is the first time Indian businesses, for sure, have been invited to Chequers too. I mean, Chequers, contrary to what people think, it isn't this giant palace of a place. It's a beautiful place set in lovely settings, but the whole place was filled with businesses from both sides, with all of us, with officials on the British side, and this document was done there. That's historic in my view.
Yeah. So you believe that there's nothing more to it than just the fact that it was special, that it was in Chequers, that the Prime Minister, skipped London altogether. Even the visit to the King was at Sandringham, so he never came to the capital city.
No, I think you're looking for too much in that. When we started talking about the prospect of our Prime Minister coming here, the British were the first to suggest, can we look at iconic venues? And I said, yeah, of course, obviously, we'd love an iconic venue. And we were at that point of time looking at one of the big university towns. You can guess which ones. Should we do it there? Should we do it at a big tech center? What is the media managers, so to speak, the guys who work with you folks, were saying, what will make the best pictures? What will make the story? And so we left it to them, but we just said, let's also be practical about logistics.
Yeah.
And so, put it this way, Stansted is now the airport of choice for most VVIP visitors. It is their one of their best organized airports for these things. frankly much better than Heathrow, even though the boss of Heathrow will probably not be happy that I say that. So much easier to manage a VVIP visit there. Stansted is already towards the north. So obviously the consideration was something in that zone. And this made sense. I mean, and when they came back and said, no, we'd like to do it at Checkers, we said, yeah, of course, sure. And so therefore it made sense for the Prime Minister not to stay, land at Stansted, come into town, then get out of town again and go to Checkers. And His Majesty is already on a summer break. So he was already in Sandringham.
Yes, Sandringham. Okay.
So, then all of the pieces fitted together. So that's why we picked a hotel also in the area, about 25 miles from Checkers. And of course, it was the only place where we could get pretty much the whole hotel to ourselves. They were kind enough to allow us to book out the whole hotel, which, trust me, with about 10 days notice, it was very difficult.
Very difficult to get it done. The other difficult part was to get 700 of the Indian diaspora all the way up to Lulu. So how did you manage that? I believe it was kept quite hush-hush.
Yes, partly for security reasons and so on and so forth. So the diaspora, we worked with them and we said, look, we will need all of this done in a secure manner. We are government and they're private individuals, so the expenditure that's involved in it, they had to organize all of that, the buses, etc., etc. But we said we will work closely with you. We will ensure, because the police also wanted us to ensure that they were also nervous. You're bringing 700 people all the way up there, and the Prime Minister's literally face to face with them.
A certain vulnerability.
There is a vulnerability there, and we had major security concerns, as we normally do for a prime ministerial visit. They said, but at one level you're doing this, and the other level you're doing that, kind of thing. We said we will ensure it. We got lists of people. We vetted the lists. We worked with the British side. We ensured that there was space available for people to be checked before they were actually brought to the actual venue. So it was a complex exercise, and my colleagues really did a fantastic job pulling that off.
You also got a lot of the business delegations, and then there were also follow-up meetings even after the Prime Minister left.
Yes.
What was the feedback? Let me ask you this.
Great excitement. I mean, you did ask about the FTA itself, and I will say this, it is really the most forward-looking FTA we've done. The Commerce Ministry was kind enough to include me in the negotiations from the last, since I got here. And I haven't seen so much complexity being done in any of our previous deals. I've seen our Korea deal when I was ambassador there. That was a detailed FTA, but nowhere near this. It's not just in tariffs. You see, everybody just looks at an FTA and says, "Oh, tariffs." This is in complex things like rules of origin, customs standards. We have essentially changed the nature of the way we are going to be able to do business.
The TBS, SNS, phytosanitary, and all of that have
much more complexity, including in terms of when you have a look at the customs documentation. We are actually looking at a much more adventurous, and adventurous is the wrong word, I should say much more ambitious and forward-leaning and modern way of doing customs work for our businesses. That will impact on the ease of doing business in India itself. So people shouldn't just look at the numbers of tariff figures. They should look at the totality of impact on making India an even better place to do business. And I think that's the sense that our business community is giving us, sense of confidence. Our top CEOs were literally bubbling with excitement. And I really thought that was fantastic to hear their confidence. The fact that, Sunil Mittal talks about his confidence in what he's doing here with BT as the major, single biggest stakeholder in BT. What he's looking at in terms of his larger, Africa and space-based telecoms businesses. What the TVS Group is doing here in terms of having restarted this fantastic old British motorcycle brand called Norton. They're looking at building the world's most powerful superbike over here. What's being done by the Tatas both through JLR, but also in battery manufacture, through TCS with the digital twinning. They displayed an artificial heart, for instance, yesterday. Down to small and medium enterprises, our cosmetics businesses. Nobody's saying, "Oh, this is going to be a threat to me." Instead, they're saying, "Great, let me go and do some business."
It's an opportunity. But London is making headlines for some of the wrong reasons also, because a lot of Londoners, the millionaires, multimillionaires, are also moving out. They're decamping from London. So how's that going to affect Indian entrepreneurs, or perhaps not only bringing in wealth, creating wealth here?
Look, I think that's an issue, of course, for the government of the day in the UK to address. It's not for me to comment on their policies. But I will say this. I think if you look at the confidence about some of the strengths that London and the UK offers Indian businesses, there is confidence that quality Indian products get quality branding when they come here. They get recognized for quality. So there's a reason why, for instance, Indian brands like, say, Forest Essentials or Kama Ayurveda, when they've come here, they've opened up shops at premier places. Because from here, the branding value that they get is considerable. That doesn't mean they have to come and live here and become sort of tax entities. So, that of course is a subjective individual choice, and I won't comment on that. But I do believe that for Indian businesses, and they're voting in terms of their money, literally. More than 50% of Europe-bound investment from India comes to the UK. So that is familiarity with the legal system. That's familiarity with the way the market operates, common rules, common language, but also the branding value that they get out of doing this here. And the more the UK does to sort of manage its relationship with the EU, the more it sustains value for them, whether that's through Northern Ireland or now through Gibraltar also.
The other question is about extremist elements. We saw what happened the last time around, and you had a spirited rebuttal, and I still have those pictures, and we spoke over it quite often. But those elements continue to remain a threat, right? And they're also backed by those forces which are inimical. So how are we going to negate that here in London? Is the government more amenable to understanding that? I know that there is a agreement that's been signed between the CBI and the National Crime Agency here, which the Foreign Secretary was speaking about. So is that going to make a difference?
Look, first and foremost, your point that some of these groups are being backed by hostile states. Frankly, I think we should be clear in our minds there isn't any difference between them. These guys who claim to be speaking for some sort of notional political entity of their own are actually wholly and solely owned franchises of another state. So, let's not give them too much credit. But they do great discredit to peaceful, hardworking people from that community, because they're a small minority of them, genuinely a small minority. And they're definitely not a credit to either their country of their origin, their forefathers, or the country that they live in. So that is one part of it. The second part of it is, I think, increasingly, as my colleague and friend, the Foreign Secretary, had said, these guys they essentially pose a challenge to the social cohesion, the social fabric of this country. It is, of course, for this country to decide how it wants to manage that particular problem. But it is abundantly clear that their narrative, their messaging, the stuff that they use is essentially hate speech. There are caste-based slurs, there are religious slurs. They are sort of being provocative, not just to us, forget us, but they're being provocative to other ordinary people up here. How the UK state wishes to handle that is, of course, up to them. But I think for the Prime Minister's visit, we did see a significantly increased level of cooperation on these issues. And I think the fact is, even reports here, official reports in the UK, recognize that this is a problem for the UK.
Yes.
In India, it's no longer an issue.
So I just wanted to understand, are they seriously going to address it under the Labour government? Because
well, you should ask them that.
So, your thoughts, because you're engaging with them. And the other part is about fugitive offenders who are in India. From India, who are based in the United Kingdom.
Well, our position is very clear. We want the best possible cooperation with our British friends across a range of issues, including on security issues. We work closely on issues of concern to each other across the board. While we do understand legal processes are legal processes, but in cases where legal processes have been completely exhausted, or legal avenues have been exhausted in at least two major extradition cases, we expect that they are brought back. And this is an issue we raised repeatedly. It is for the UK to send them back.
Well, fingers crossed on that. And my final question, and this is something maybe a personal input here, there's a beautiful picture of Radha and Krishna and a lovely Bhagavad Gita. So is this something that was already placed, or are you a student of this book?
Well, put it this way. First and foremost, the Raja Ravi Verma painting, I found it in one of the rooms in the residence. And I said, this is original, not just from the artist, but presented by the Artist to India House a few years after it was opened up. This building was opened up. I felt this should have pride of place. So I wanted to place it here. Both the artist is one of the greatest modern artists out of turn of the century India, and the Radha Krishna imagery that it had. And of course, the most important value that we as Indians of whichever religious persuasion have is the depth to which the lesson of the Bhagavad Gita resonates within all of us. And to me, the most important one of that is the idea of detachment. The idea that one should not expect, but one should do what is one's duty.
Yeah, so attachment with detachment, and you seem to be walking down that path, and you got a lot of people who commend you for your efforts here at the Indian diaspora and also back in Bharat. Congratulations on that. Thank you so much. Lovely speaking with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a historic comprehensive economic trade agreement signed between Bharat and the United Kingdom. It's been in the works since Brexit happened. But last 3 years, there's been a lot of effort that was put into it. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Starmer are now inking the deal, which is perhaps, like Prime Minister Starmer said, the biggest deal post-Brexit for the United Kingdom. It's also the biggest comprehensive trade deal after Australia for Bharat. But perhaps far more extended and comprehensive than the one with Australia too. Does this pave the road for Europe and also for America to do the deal with Bharat? We'll have to wait and watch. But right now, let's focus on how it's going to help students who are coming here to study and in terms of career prospects and in the future. So with me, some very bright young minds of Bharat who are now studying and specializing here. Janvi is there. Janvi is from Nottingham University. She's just completed her master's in biotechnology.
Yes.
Correct, Janvi? Hi. This is Tejas Bharadwaj. Tejas Bharadwaj is doing his public policy at King's College in London. Mayur Rao Patil is again his college batchmate, and he is also studying public policy. And in the far corner, we've got Satyat from the London School of Economics. So all such bright minds are doing very well. So let's ask all of them. How has it been studying in the UK? First, you completed your master's, so let me ask you that.
Yes, I mean, it's really great to study here because you get a lot of exposure, culturally wise and academics wise as well. Because academics wise, it is like you get exposure with a lot of students and lab as well. But in terms of like further after studies, there are a lot of challenges with the roles, securing job and securing visa as well, because now the post-study visa has been reducing to 18 months, and then
but that is for the future batches, right?
Yes, future batches.
You still have 24 months.
Yeah, I have 24 months, but for people who are going to come in future, that is one thing they have to remember. And living and the weather, the food, the culture, the people, and you get a lot of exposure with people, like you get to meet and conferences and everything, but also like you have to like be alone and everything.
Manage everything on your own.
Yes,
you got to do everything on your own. But does specialization work? Does it help? And also now with 35 service sectors that have now opened because of the CETA, you think prospects will improve?
This is 100% because of this trade deal. I think this is a very historic deal, and it will bring wonders to both the countries, India and the UK. And if you see, this will bring the dream of Modi ji, Viksit Bharat, very close, and it will impact and it will contribute to that. And here in the UK as well, if you see, the population of India is 140 million, and then such a huge market coming to the UK, and the fair trade deal, you can like a lot of low tariffs, so a lot of goods can be like exported and imported to UK and India. This relation will bring wonders to the economy of both the countries. In terms of students as well, see, the students will also get to do jobs and become entrepreneurs after completing their education. This will open windows for them as well.
So you're studying public policy. So what are you going to do?
I think.
And why are you studying public policy in the UK?
Because I think one aspect, because I have studied in India from like 17-18 years, I have studied in India. But for public policy, what I wanted is because if you want a global perspective of the public policy, that is very important. And here in like King's College, I get to meet and I get to study with the students who are from all over the world, and then discussing what the policies are in China, in South Korea, in different parts of the world, Europe, Britain. So it kind of like gives you a really good exposure. So that is why I came to UK to study public policy, and this is a great opportunity.
So let me ask you, why can't this public policy be taught in India? DU में नहीं पढ़ा सकते हैं? Can't they do it?
Well, if you see, there are a lot of public policy courses in India as well. A lot of university is now coming up with public policy courses. Also, if you see MIT for Pune, like for example, MIT in Pune has come up with School of Government. So such initiatives are being taken. But what different it brings when you come here is because you get international exposure. What UK is good at is making systems, right? And those systems is something that we try to learn coming here. So that global exposure is something we can inherit, and when we go back to India, we have something to give back. That is what we think when we come here.
Yeah, but when they've negotiated an economic deal, shouldn't they also make it lighter on your purses? Because I believe universities charge 3 times, 4 times the amount of the fee for expat students compared to the locals. So something could be done there.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you one interesting fact. Now that a lot of UK universities are extending their campuses in India. If you see, University of Birmingham, for example, has opened their extended campus in Gift City, Gujarat, which is in operation. It will be rolled out soon. But see the the scope of what government is also doing. It's trying to make it easier for students to go and have that international exposure right in their own country, right? And it also aligns with NEP 2020 that has come into picture. So it all aligns in the same way, and it's all benefiting students at large. So I think both the governments are working, and FTA is gonna be surely helping at a larger extent. If we don't realize it in the coming years, but it might be 10 years down the line, we might see a very good, beautiful results coming out of that.
Get out of that. Satyat, those who study law in the UK, our history is rife with people who've gone on to do great things. Yeah. So is that one of the reasons you're doing law here, or why did you choose the UK?
I mean, everyone has their own personal reasons. For me, it was like the academic integrity and the research depth. I have studied at University of Delhi. I didn't like it much there, and to be honest, I loved it being here in my university, the course, and there's specific everything. I mean, the depth of the course, how they outline the coursework and the subject and the syllabus, everything. It's just amazing, and how they teach it, their method of teaching, and how honest and strict they are with their marking and curriculum. It's good. It's better than India, at least. I can say that.
So in terms of the pedagogy standards, you believe that they do a better job?
Yeah, much better.
Much better.
Yeah.
But they also charge you so much more. Will you be able to pay so much more money in India if the same standards were given to you? So let's say a law college comes there and says, I'm going to give you the same standards as in King's College in London, but you'll have to pay the same amount of money. Will you do it?
It is already happening. You see that Dhirubhai Ambani College is there, Jindal University is there. They are charging a lot more, like just I think similar to universities in the UK. They are charging similar, and they are giving that facilities and all those research facilities to the students in India. Yes.
So I'm just asking you that you said you didn't like DU, but DU is public funded university. Yeah. You're studying in a private funded and you're paying private money. So you think, will you be ready to pay the same kind of money and study in India if it's a similar facility that's given to you? Research, campus, everything.
Yes, I would definitely go for it, because if I'm going to get the same standard as in my own country when compared like this, it's definitely worth it. Because if you get because I come from molecular microbiology, which is in general a biotechnology field, we require a specialization after getting into biology, and then if it gives me the opportunity to study and research in depth, it's definitely worth.
It's definitely worth. So let me ask you, Janvi, what are your prospects? Are you confident of cracking a job in the next 12 months or 24 months that you have here in the UK? Is there enough chance for molecular biotechnology or someone who done a master's in?
Yes, I can say, because there is a lot of demand for research and healthcare in the UK. That is why I chose UK to study. And securing a job is difficult for now, but I think you can keep working on it and give your best. So that's the only thing
you can. But you believe there is a market, there are jobs for you?
Yes.
You are not going to be, it's not going to be difficult because you're an Indian citizen competing with somebody else of another nationality or maybe a British citizen?
No, nationality-wise, I wouldn't say there would be any problem, but I think skills, it's all on your skills and your knowledge. So that's more important if you go to see like that. Also, there is like, with the new rules coming in for the threshold, salary threshold, I think it's a bit difficult, but then you can always give a try to.
You can always give a try.
Yeah.
All right, Tejas, did you go and see the Prime Minister yesterday?
Yeah, I luckily got the chance to visit the Prime Minister and meet him, and it was a great opportunity to see him in person. The aura that he carries, he's like the new personality.
So let me ask you, what do you make of the Prime Minister and what he's trying to do? Do you think it's going to help you, the next generation of students, and what they're trying to do?
I think the Prime Minister is doing a wonderful job. He's doing to the Indian citizens, and I think the people,
Why is he doing a wonderful job? Why do you think?
Because of the trade deal. This is a very historic trade deal signed between UK and India. This will bring the relations of UK and India very close, and this will impact the economy, directly impact the economy of both the countries. And see, lot of Indian students or a lot of Indian diaspora is there in UK. It is like after US, one of the most Indian diaspora people are there in the UK. So signing a trade deal with them, opening a doors for them, and like for the students, like they can work, they can do their jobs, they can have a business here in the UK, they can go back and contribute to the Indian economy. So the steps that he's taking, that is going to impact both the countries.
So you feel that's great, but Mayur, let me put you on a fix there. You echo his thoughts with PM Modi, and then let me ask you: is that going to make more Indians come to the UK, or is there going to be more UK coming to India?
Well, with the FTA, you see, there are a lot of things that come into picture because we as students contribute in billions to the economy. It's not just the educational fees that we pay, but we also kind of engage in day-to-day life. Like we go to shops, like we buy something, and then we are a part of the economy, right? And then when Indian diaspora as a whole becomes part of a certain economy, Indian government has to have their say. And I think that is what FTA is bringing. If it was just UK government making laws, it was them deciding for the diaspora as a whole. But what FTA is doing is it is opening the doors for the Indian government to negotiate on certain terms. They can come up with new policies which can rather be negotiated in a way which can be into the interest of Indian diaspora as a whole. So I think the policy advocacy thing has something which FTA is bringing, where in whatever we have, we can go to Indian government, we ask for some reforms, and they can go on to negotiate having FTA at as a baseline. So I think that is something which is gonna be an important fact when we see at FTA.
So, but I'm asking from the fact that there are more people who want to leave the country, leave Bharat and come and study here. So is this FTA going to reverse that trend, or is it going to make more people leave the country and come here only?
I don't think so. I mean, depends. Like if the student visa is going to get reduced, the value you get after you graduate is less. I mean, the amount of fees, it's increasing every year. Last year, my course, it was around £38,000, and it has increased like £2-3 this year, and it's increasing every year. And the prospects of job, I think it's decreasing in the market. So if the time period of the student visa, it gets decreased more, like it has already decreased by 6 months, but if it gets decreased more, then I don't think people would come here because the average pay for a fresher who you get after you graduate, I don't think it's enough for you to work for 18 months if you pay that much amount of fees. So I think the government must take this into consideration while they decide the time period of this.
Yeah, but now they've also opened up this sector for professionals, So there are chefs, yoga instructors, there are some 35 such service sectors that are now open where you can come and work on temporary visa. You think that's going to help people?
Yes, because I think I just know about the young professional visa for Indians, which is for under 30 age of.
Correct.
And I think that's a really good opportunity to come and work here for 2 years because you get a lot of exposure as well, and you can earn and you get to know people, you can move ahead. But I think after 2 years, you have to either come back or you have to work on getting settled.
Okay. Let me ask you this and quickly. Last round of conversation. when you came to the UK, you came here to study and go back to Bharat, or you came here to study and think, okay, I'll try and make a career here and stick around in the UK?
I came here to study and make a career and stick around
For a while, yeah.
forever.
Forever. So that's why you came. But why didn't you want to go back to India? After
Because,
studying here, why didn't you go back to India?
honestly, there are very low career opportunities right now. Like there are
In your field?
in my field.
Huh.
There are opportunities, but I wouldn't say it's the same as compared to the UK. And research-wise, UK is a bit more leading. And then.
So you say the
yeah.
UK is far more open to spending money in research and development compared to India, despite the fact that the government is now opening up and saying, okay, we're going to create a corpus of 1 lakh crore for research in tech and deep research, etc.
Biotechnology is developing now. Like after the COVID that happened, people got to know a lot about what is biotechnology really and what is done and how the research works, everything. So I think the development is now in stage, so it might take a
So
little
even now
while.
you're clear, you want to stick around in the UK and
Yes.
study here only, you don't want to go back to India.
No.
Okay, so we may lose a molecular biotechnologist to the UK in the near future. What about you?
See, I want to go back to India and contribute to the Indian economy, contribute to the Indian people, help the Indian people living in the Indians. So because it is important, India has given me a lot. India is like, I carry this badge of India, and then I always felt that from my childhood that I want to contribute to the Indian society, help them in whatever way I can be helpful to them. So that is my long-term plan, studying and bring back whatever I can to the Indian community.
So then why didn't you study public policy? Neta बनने की तैयारी में लग रहे हैं भाई साहब. I don't know, but I'm just asking you. But then why study in the UK? Why did you come here, spend so much of money here? You could have spent it back in India into a top-class education.
It's just I have done my entire education in India, and a lot of world leaders and a lot of people, great leaders in India, a lot of great people in India, like you see B.R. Ambedkar, a lot of educationists, a lot of socialists. They came to UK, they studied, and then they got back to the country and what they can bring to the table. So that is what I planned was to.
So you're not going to stick around for 24 months in the UK looking for a job once you finish your graduation.
No.
You're going to take the next flight and go back home.
Yeah, that's my plan, because
We're taking you on record, okay? We'll track him.
Sure. I
So you're clear?
Yeah, I'm clear, because that is my point was spend 1 year, learn what I can learn from this country, become independent, and then bring back to India whatever I can.
Alright, so one for UK, one for Bharat. Now let's check here. What's going to happen, Satyat? What do you plan to do?
I'm going to stay for a couple of years
Okay.
and then go back.
So-
This was my plan. Always, yeah.
So you're going to stay for a work here for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And if you get into a good law firm, get a good job.
I don't want to actually get into a good house. I want to engage myself in research and academics.
Okay.
So for a couple of years, I'm going to learn some things and take them back to me back, just like
So you will eventually come back to India, even if you land a good job with a good salary and all of that, and a good research.
See, in research and academics
salary.
anyway, you don't get a very good salary. It's not right. So
But if you get somebody who funds you for a particular research and says stick around and we'll give you fellowship, etc.
you see that all those sorts of things are available in India also. Many scholars are working in India. They are getting projects from United Nations and whatnot. So it's not difficult for to.
चलो अभी के लिए भाई अपना क्लियर है कि वापस आ रहा है. Okay, what about you, Mayur? What are you going to do?
Yeah, I'll reflect on what Tejas just said. The time when I came to UK, I thought about, I was inspired by the world leaders, like even in my King's College London, it's Sarojini Naidu who
Yeah.
have studied there. Also Mahatma Gandhi, Ambedkar. And the reason why I'm studying public policy is with the same line of thought, that I wanted to learn, make some, like I have worked at Parliament as well for a brief time. So, these all things have propelled me to kind of apply for UK because of the system and because of the knowledge. Because it's all research based, which is something which we lack in India, which is now picking up. Like with NEP coming into picture, we think in coming next decade we will have more research coming into place. But yes, with what I have right now, it was always my plan, and yes, I'm taking the next flight to India as soon as I complete my degree.
So we've got a 3:1 in this case, but hopefully there will be more who will think about coming back and making their careers in Bharat, or if not, do something here and they can contribute back to the country there, like our molecular biologists here. But lovely speaking with all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Text on these developments, but these are through top Indian intelligence sources. What this means, what the ramifications are for these regions in Pakistan. These are regions, remember, that are typically governed by the PTI, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. We're going to bring you more context. Take a look at reactions, then we'll go over to reporters for more context.
पूरा पाकिस्तान जान गया था कि मेरे इन पे रिजर्वेशन हैं और मैंने बाकायदा तौर पे इसके ऊपर बात की। मुझे किसी का खौफ नहीं है, मैं किसी के खौफ के बगैर ये बात पहले दिन से कर चुका हूं और मैं दोबारा रिपीट कर रहा हूं कि उसके बाद हमने ऑपरेशन किए, हमने उनको इलाकों से खाली करवाया। आपने वो वीडियो देखी, वो वीडियो देखने के बाद दोबारा उन लोगों को लाया गया, दोबारा उन लोगों को जब पकड़ा गया तो हमारी ISI और हमारी MI ने उन लोगों को ऑन किया कि ये लोग हमारे लोग हैं, मेहरबानी करें, हम इनको इस्तेमाल करते हैं किसी भी काम के लिए, और उन्होंने पुलिस से उनको छुड़वाया। अब दोबारा वो लोग फिर ज्यादा हो चुके हैं, तो मेहरबानी करें अपने वर्दी वाले बंदे से अपनी जंग लड़ें। गुड़ तालिबानों के जरिए जो आप उनको ओन करके जो जंग लड़ने की कोशिश आप कर रहे हैं, उससे आपके दरमियान और अवाम के दरमियान एतमाद खत्म हो रहा है। आपके दरमियान और मेरी पुलिस के दरमियान एतमाद खत्म हो रहा है। आपके दरमियान और मेरी हुकूमत, मेरी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के दरमियान एतमाद खत्म हो रहा है। गुड तालिबान आर नॉट एक्सेप्टेड। अगर आपको उनकी जरूरत है तो उनको फौज में भर्ती कर लो।
लॉयर ने उनसे पूछा कि आपकी तबीयत ठीक है, तो कहते हैं खान साहब जैसे कि हमेशा से कहते हैं कि मेरी तबीयत बिल्कुल ठीक है, लेकिन जो मेरे साथ टॉर्चर किया जा रहा है इसकी बात आप बाहर जाके जरूर करें कि ये कौन सा कानून है जिसके तहत ये हो रहा है। आगे उन्होंने उस पर वजाहत की। उन्होंने कहा इस वक्त पाकिस्तान में मार्शल लॉ नहीं है, इस वक्त पाकिस्तान में आसिम लॉ है, इस वक्त पाकिस्तान में 26वीं तरमीम लाई गई है जिसके तहत सिर्फ इमरान खान को इस अजियत में डालने के लिए, टॉर्चर करने के लिए उन्होंने जो जजेस लगाए, जिसमें काजी फाइजी सा, अमीनुद्दीन और सरफराज डोगर, ये 3 जज का मकसद ये था कि पार्टी खत्म करें और इमरान खान को खत्म करें। इंतजामिया जो गफूर अंजुम है सुपरिटेंडेंट, उन्होंने कहा फिर से कि जब से ये आदमी आया है गफूर अंजुम सुपरिटेंडेंट, तब से मेरे ऊपर जुल्म बहुत बढ़ गया है, बहुत ज्यादा जुल्म जो कर रहा है इसकी मौजूदगी में इसके हाथों से करवाया जा रहा है, इसकी सरबराही में किया जा रहा है।
Okay, let's go over to Colonel Rohit Dev to understand more. He's a senior defense expert and he joins us live on this show. Colonel Dev, a few different accusations that have been made over here, and I want to go to each one separately. So, Colonel Dev, let's just talk with, first, let's start with what it is that the Chief Minister in this region, he is the Chief Minister in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region. This is Ali Amin. We played out his bite, what he had to say for our audience. Colonel Dev, just explain what he said to our audience, because in his bite, in his comment, Ali Amin is making a very, very important point. He's essentially saying that central organizations in Pakistan are supporting local militants and therefore coming in the way of local efforts to secure the area. They're calling certain militants, quote, good Taliban. What does that mean? Break it down for us.
Right. So apparently it's in sync with what Pakistan is doing. So the allegation primarily is that ISI is creating this kind of an unrest through militia there,
right.
Which has been a fact because the ISI has been meddling in that affairs for a long time. And whatever inhuman treatments have been meted out to these citizens as well has always been orchestrated through the ISI channels and the army of Pakistan. The other allegation which he is alluding to is also the collusion between ISI and some foreign intelligence agencies, which again is in sync with what the minister from Pakistan spoke 2 months back when he was speaking to a foreign media and when he was trying to boast that how Pakistan was the vassal state carrying out the nefarious designs of the Western powers, especially in the region of northwest, northern part of Pakistan, Afghanistan, and such like areas. So I think that is the first part. That it's just a sort of a public speech given, which calls out the ISI, which calls out the collusivity of ISI and the army, and also hints at the collusion of foreign intelligence. So I think that is a big thing which he's saying, because this entire thing is under the boil, and you have seen how the reactions are happening, even in the aspect of Balochistan. And you can appreciate in 1990s, late 1990s, Pakistan used to use gunships against civilians. And you just saw a video, I think, a couple of days back when they were brutally shooting at children in some valley. That video had come out. It was also there on the social media as well, duly verified. So I think these kind of claims only give a voice to the international committee to take note of this. Apparently, people don't take note because it's not affecting their own, happiness back in West or Europe. I think it's a very pertinent point for the human rights wings and for the United Nations to take these things at their face value, collate more information, and be able to call out Pakistan.
Okay.
Because at one hand, Pakistan, is misusing the UN platform to voice opinions. They are trying to seek something on Kashmir with US unilaterally. I don't think so. Pakistan is in any way a state which cannot be described but as a terrorist state. And this is coming out straight from the book of their concept to fuel terrorism as an instrument of diplomacy, and they are using it against the people whom they have illegally annexed their territories.
Okay.
So I think that's the way it's going in Pakistan.
Colonel Dev, I do want to understand from you this comment that the Chief Minister has made, where he said that intelligence agencies are shielding extremists under the guise of supporting a good Taliban. Is this surprising to you? Have you heard
No,
this
not
version
at
of...
all.
No, just tell us, have you heard this version of good Taliban versus bad Taliban before?
President Musharraf, he on his bed in London said this a couple of times. So good Taliban, bad Taliban doesn't work that way in the real world. Terrorist is a terrorist, right? So somebody's terrorist who's working for somebody is called good just because the West wants to call somebody good and ISIS gets a shield. It doesn't become good.
Yeah.
So I think the West has learned the lessons. The US evacuated Afghanistan. They've learned what good or bad Taliban is or was.
Right.
Similarly, the ex-president of Pakistan, that too a military dictator, has gone on record to talk about them. And now a minister has spoken about how they have been colluding with the Western powers to fuel terrorism on the garb of good Taliban. So I think that's a hoax because Taliban created for the Russian part as a Cold War era has got no value today because Taliban is a terrorist kind of an organization in terms of its construct. And if you are doing it, then you cannot be good or bad. I mean, killing people is bad. So there can be no blanket put over.
Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. Leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, has issued a direct threat to the Election Commission. He has said in as many words that we're coming after you. He has been alleging systematic rigging by the Election Commission, whether it's in the elections in Maharashtra or Karnataka or the latest one in Bihar with the whole special intensive revision exercise. He alleges that the Election Commission, instead of being an independent autonomous body, is acting at the behest of the Modi government. The EC has reacted to